Jim, here it is the first real close of day sunset in which people have had a chance to absorb the new reality they have after the devastating blow dealt them by Hurricane Maria. Puerto Rico was in a bad state economically, frankly, before Hurricane Irma hit 2 weeks ago. Now it's had the worst storm in about a century, and it is really struggling, I think, to understand the new normal it has with the potential of months ahead without basic services. Tonight, more than 3 million in Puerto Rico are in the dark, potentially without power for 4 to 6 months.
To get the island full power, it's probably we're looking at order of magnitude of months as opposed to weeks or days.
Hurricane Maria nearly destroying Puerto Rico's energy grid, the island already deeply in debt after a long recession. Dozens of families have been rescued from floodwaters, and a flash flood warning remains in effect for the whole island as the rain continues to fall, with some spots getting 40 inches in just 24 hours. The main priority now, clearing roads and opening the airport so aid can start to flow.
First priority is going to be saving of lives, not just in Puerto Rico, U.S. Virgin Islands. I'm especially concerned with St. Croix, that was also in the path of Hurricane Maria.
On the island of Dominica, more devastation and death. The government says that those spared are now in survival mode. Food and water are scarce or non-existent, and looting is widespread. The island of more than 70,000, known for its waterfalls and rainforests, now bare. Aerial views show thousands of trees snapped, the rainforests virtually gone. And the threat isn't over. The storm now lashing the Dominican Republic with strong winds and torrential downpours. Maria is expected to dump over a foot of rain on the island, which is already saturated from Hurricane Irma. Now, clearly, there is a new kind of life here that was totally alien to Puerto Rico 40 hours or so ago. Cell phones are not really working that often. Fresh water is being rationed at times. Electricity will be out for months. You're seeing generators perhaps around me keeping some of the lights on, but this is a real exception here. And the drive you saw partially in some of our reporting earlier across from the east where it made landfall to the north here in San Juan just shows how many of the electricity pylons have been torn out of their place. That's a massive infrastructure rebuild, an enormous burden on a territory that already had a $70 billion debt before Irma even brought $1 billion of damage towards it. It's a massive reconstruction job and probably, I'm afraid to say, a change of life for people here for the years ahead. This has been a devastating blow, Jim.
A very grim situation on a beautiful island. Nick Payton-Walsh, thank you very much for that report. Tonight, Hurricane Maria is a Category 3 storm as it continues its rampage across the Caribbean. Let's go to CNN meteorologist Allison Shinshar. Allison, there's a new forecast on Maria's power and path. What can you tell us?
Right, so at this point, the areas that are really going to be most affected are right now the Dominican Republic. Then it begins to make its way towards the Turks and Caicos. The good news for those countries is it's not as strong of a storm as it was when it was over Dominica and Puerto Rico. But winds are still 120 miles per hour with this storm. As it pushes off to the north, it is expected to weaken because it's going to encounter much cooler water. Hurricanes need warm water to survive, and there's going to be a big lack of it once it gets out over the open Atlantic. In the long term, this is what the models are suggesting. We go into Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and even Thursday. This is a look at Thursday, 1 week from today. Notice, at this point, Jim, a direct landfall over the U.S. does not look likely. However, I want people to understand that there are still going to be impacts. You don't want to let your guard down because we could still be talking dangerous rip currents, tropical storm force winds, coastal flooding, as well as beach erosion from North Carolina all the way up to Maine.